Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I will tell you what, folks, there is something going on in Washington, happening very quietly, but it could have devastating effects on President Trump's quest to make everything cheaper again, to make America affordable again. So it's not often that I talk about mergers between two companies. But when you talk about Union Pacific Railroad and Norfolk Southern Railroad, these two behemoths joining forces to create a transcontinental railroad that will now control like 50% of rail freight in this country, what do you think that's going to do to prices? Like, literally, I'm looking at some conservatives out there thinking, how are you for this? When you talk about competition and free markets, you cannot have a free market without a fair market. And when one giant company controls 50% plus of the industry, that's not fair. And the consumer loses. So I'm issuing a warning today to regulators in D.C., specifically the Surface Transportation Board, who approves these mergers, and maybe more importantly, members of Congress who have so much power in this, and of course, the Trump administration. You've got to reject this merger. I'm concerned about the cost of energy. I'll explain why. The cost of lumber, the cost to build your house, auto parts, autos in general. Farmers, do you know what this would do to farmers? We're going to talk about all of that on the show today as I spell out why Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern should not be merging. Before we get to that, folks, you know I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company, twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. The Wellness Company has this new product, Shield. It is designed to prevent cancer. Formulated by Dr. Victory. You know her from this program. She comes on all the time. She had breast cancer. She formulated this, I'll call it a concoction, but it's better than a concoction, that literally will help protect you from getting cancer. There's botanicals in here that have real proven results when it comes to preventing cancer. So I urge you to go to the website, check this product out, twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. And don't forget Ultimate Spike Detox. This should be a daily supplement. Get that spike protein, COVID, the vax, all of it, responsible for so much damage. Ultimate Spike Detox is where you need to be. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, with that, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, so here we are talking about a railroad merger. Who thought I'd be talking about that? Sensationalistic? Maybe not. Huge ramifications? Absolutely. Ramifications to the cost of everything. Okay? You have Union Pacific now looking, I think it's like $85 billion to absorb Norfolk Southern and create this transcontinental railroad that would take up 50% of rail freight in this country. There is no free marketeer that can tell me when you consolidate like this with giant companies that it's going to be good for the consumer. Milton Friedman would be rolling over right now, the great free marketeer, who I'm literally such a dork that I listen to Milton Friedman videos at night. But I could see Milton Friedman talking about this. So you've got these giant behemoths that would literally put a halt on the Trump agenda. So I understand that the CEOs of Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern may be very nice gentlemen, from what I'm told, but that's not why you approve a merger, okay? You would approve a merger if it's going to benefit the consumer. Now, do you know the mandate from the Surface Transportation Board that regulates this stuff? The mandate is it has to be good for competition and it has to be good for the consumer. You can't look at this and say that any of those things will be true if these two giant railroads merge. So I started doing a little research on this, and lo and behold, my buddy Eric Bowling over at Real America's Voice had a guy by the name of Daniel Turner on with Power of the Future. And Daniel Turner clearly thinks a lot like me.
Transport crude, natural gas, coal, etc. And we've seen in the past when these huge monopolies take place that they actually do hurt consumers. In the last 20 years, for example, the price of trucking has gone up, sure, but the price of rail has gone up 70% more. And the reason why is because there are a very few number of rail companies. There are only 4 now nationwide that have merged, and they've created these huge monopolies and these huge conglomerates, and that cuts down competitiveness, it cuts down choice, and it ultimately drives up price. So yes, I care about it from energy, but everybody who cares about manufactured goods or agriculture or any product that has to get shipped should be concerned about this consolidation of power by large companies.
Consolidation of power is never a good thing, okay? It's not when it comes to markets. And so he talked about energy, specifically coal. Coal is moved. You can go to the Tennessee River. It's moved on barges. But beyond that, coal gets moved across the country on rail cars. Now, what is powering the AI boom right now? Energy. Honestly, coal. So if you increase the price of coal because it's going to increase the cost to ship coal across the country, what is that going to do to the AI boom? This is a central piece of President Trump's agenda. The AI renaissance, this golden age. Well, the last thing you want to do is increase energy prices. And then when you think about farmers in rural America, how do you think they get their crops to market? Rail cars. And you're telling me that you limit choices? That somehow that's going to increase competition? This is why 6 attorneys general are now suing to stop this merger from happening. A great Republican out in Montana, the attorney general out there, at the forefront of all of this. But, if you don't believe me, and there are some conservative members of Congress, and I'm going to ask them why, and I would love to sit down and explain to me how you reconcile the fact that consolidation is good for consumer choice. It works. I don't know. And so if you don't believe me, maybe you ought to listen to Vice President J.D. Vance, because he sums up a very simple mantra here when it comes to conservatism.
And let me give you one example. I really worry about concentration in the corporate sector. I worry about big corporate monopolies. I worry that when you have only 1 or 2 companies dominating an entire sector, it's bad for liberty and it's bad for prosperity.
It's that simple. This is literally what Democrats would do. They would pick winners and losers and give all the power to their rich friends. That's a Democrat model. You want to follow a Democrat model? You want to follow a radical liberal model? Give all the power to your rich buddies and screw the consumer? Well, then merge these 2 railroads. But if you believe in America that believes in competition, that believes in the more choices for consumers, the better off it will be and the cheaper it will be, that you cannot approve this merger. Now, here's what's really interesting about this. You've got Jim Banks in Indiana, who's a conservative firebrand. You've got Tim Sheehy, a senator in Montana, who's a conservative firebrand. You know who they agree with? They agree with Raphael Warnock of Georgia. You know I am no fan of his. They agree with Dick Durbin of Illinois. Oh, my God. But if you have 2 conservative firebrands agreeing with 2 radical leftists on this, that it's not going to be good for the public, I don't know how you argue with it. Because I don't think there's anything in Congress that these 4 senators would agree on. This is the first time I think I've ever seen Warnock and Durbin siding with Banks and Sheehy. So, again, the Surface Transportation Board has to ensure, it has to protect competitive access. It's got to reject this merger. Now, amazingly enough, I saw this guy on with my buddy Steve Gruber. Now, this goes to show you that there are some conservatives that are somehow thinking this is a good idea. And Steve Gruber is a great friend of mine, and he's a great conservative mind. And I'm sure that this guy, Aiden Buzzetti, with the Bull Moose Project, I'm sure he's a good guy. My guess is he may be a libertarian, because I could see a libertarian going for this. Libertarians, good ideas are really good, but their bad ideas are really bad. And this is one of the bad ideas. Now, how do you call yourself a free marketeer and say something like this? No offense to my buddy Gruber, he's a great guy. But Aiden Buzzetti, what are you talking about here?
It'll make everybody more competitive.
That's what I believe. I do think it will make shipping more competitive. I think we're going to actually preserve and expand American jobs. And I think the most important thing that President Trump wants is...
Hold on. How are you going to merge two companies and expand American jobs? You don't need two dispatchers now. You need one dispatcher. I mean, I'm oversimplifying. But if you have one railroad that's maintaining something and you have that group, why would you need them? You would consolidate everything. That's the whole reason why you merge, is to consolidate so you save costs and make more money. And guess what? You make more money also by charging more prices, because now you have no competition. So Aiden Buzzetti, I know you claim to be a free marketeer, but what you're saying literally makes no sense.
We're going to expand our manufacturing capacity by offering more ways to ship products to get them to ports and get them exported. We're going to...
Wait, more ways? You got less ways. You have fewer railroad choices to do it. What are you talking about? And then some people say it's a plus. They'll get trucks off the road. Oh, this is going to take trucks off the road. Well, first off, I owned a trucking company. The last thing I want is trucks off the road. I get if you're a driver, that sounds great. Nobody likes driving next to 18-wheelers. The problem is it's a false projection. They tried this projection when Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern merged to create a railroad from Canada to Mexico. They said it would take 65,000 trucks off the road. You know what they missed their projection by? 90%. 90%. And so if you go by their projection of taking trucks off the road, then what is that going to do? That would also kill the trucking industry, and you would lose trucking jobs. My assessment is you're not going to take trucks off the road. You miss those projections. And in the end, you're just going to control the market so you can stick it ugats to the farmers of America and the people who need coal to energize their houses and AI centers and all of those things. So this is a very important decision the Surface Transportation Board has to make. And my assessment is they're going to make this decision. It may take them a while. But I need members of Congress to speak out about this, because you think the media is talking about it? The media is not talking about it unless you go to CNBC. Some of the business channels are talking about it. I saw this. This is Robert Primus. He's a board member of the Surface Transportation Board. Now, where does he fall on all of this?
Hanging over this entire board right now is this proposed $85 billion merger between Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific. What have you said publicly about where you stand on that merger?
Well, I've said nothing publicly because as a board member, we're not supposed to. I have said in the past, and my record has reflected in my vote against the CPKC merger, that I'm very concerned with further consolidation and what that does to competition, how that affects shippers, how that affects rates, how it affects the overall public in terms of passing along those increased rates into consumer products and people paying more for those products overall. I'm worried about the service problems that tend to happen after mergers. We've had numerous meltdowns over the decades And the American consumer, as well as the manufacturing base and production base in this country, has suffered. We've lost millions of dollars in production costs, and we've had increased consumer costs as a result of that. So
Robert,
those are all legitimate concerns in my mind.
They are all the concerns I'm telling you about. So there's one board member that's good news. But we need to give these board members political cover. And I think we also need to send a real message to those inside the Trump administration that might see it and go, oh, this sounds like a great idea. Let's just get a transcontinental railroad and make it easy. And then really step back and look at this and see, all right, you got one guy now controlling everything. That's not good. And so I'll use this example to my conservative friends. Imagine your cell phone service. If you only had one cell phone provider, go all the way back to the Ma Bell telephone days. And they had to break up but imagine with cell phone companies, if you only had one, you know what they could charge you? Like, I remember when my dad first had a cell phone company, there was like only one. He'd pay like $1,500 a month. And that was in the late 80s for a cell phone. Imagine what that would be today. You can't. Now, it's one thing to allow a monopoly for an ice cream shop. You want Baskin Robbins to buy up or Starbucks, buy up all the coffee shops. This is not in the public's best interest. It doesn't have to relate to their well-being. Railroad does. Who you buy your energy from. This is why Texas, they broke up that monopoly, created competition. So you could choose where you buy your electricity from. It's literally fundamental things that America runs on. Railroad is one of them. This is why there is regulation in this industry, is because the people rely on this for their health and well-being and security. Dave & Buster's, the entertainment place. You want to buy up every arcade? Go for it. I don't have to go to the arcade, but I have to ship coal. Or I have to buy lumber if I'm building a house. So this is why I hope the government wakes up on this, and we'll talk more about this too, because nobody's talking about it, and that's exactly what Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern want. They don't want anybody talking about it, and they'll hit these lawmakers, and they'll hit the quiet industry insiders, and bing, bang, boom, next thing you know, we're taking it, all of us, the consumer, right where the sun don't shine. Again, reject this merger, Union Pacific, Norfolk Southern. Not good, and it really is an assault on the Trump agenda to make America more affordable. All right. With that, I want to tell you about my friends over at VRA Insider. You know, if the price of things go up, wouldn't it be great to make some money, help you pay for things? Well, here's how you make some money. VRAinsider.com. It will help you crush the market. I was just with the founder, Kip Herriage. You'll see him on Fox Business all the time. He runs this newsletter. Wow, man. I have just put more of my money into his recommendations. He has a 10-bagger system, which means there's 10 stocks or ETFs that he recommends, and they return 35% on average, okay? Over the last 22 years, he's beaten the market 20 out of the 22 years. That's amazing. VRAinsider.com. It's a super simple system, and it's not like trading every day. You get a newsletter in the morning, you make sure your portfolio lines up. Most days you don't do anything, and then all of a sudden the returns start coming in like never before. Let them do the work for you. And a proven track record. You know, last year I said 35%, the year before that, 50% returns. Man, oh man. You say crush the market. Here's the best thing. You get a 2-week trial, okay? So just go sign up, VRAinsider.com. You'll get the 10 baggers right there on the 2-week trial. And so you can see for yourself whether it works or not. VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. All right, folks. I want to turn now to the SAVE Act. And the reason why we need the SAVE Act passed, you know, I am not convinced that the SAVE Act is going to pass the United States Senate. we call it the Save America Act now because it's voter ID and prove you're an American citizen. This is literally common sense. I'll say it over and over again. That is it only Republicans that can get a marriage certificate and only Republicans can get their birth certificate or a passport? Somehow Democrats can't do this, and specifically somehow minority Democrats. It's so racist what these Democrats are claiming. So if it's going to disenfranchise, you don't think Republicans get married? They say, oh, you're a married woman. You're not. It's in the bill. You can bring a marriage certificate and match it to your driver's license. What's the problem? So disenfranchise, I would think it would disenfranchise just as many Republicans as it would Democrats. We want to prove you're an American citizen or not. Here's why it needs to be a law at a federal level. These are the guys from Muckraker. I believe they're brothers. And they went to the New York voter registrar's office. And I'm going to play this. It's a long, but we'll break it down as it goes.
It seemed like before you were about to accept my voter registration form, even though I told you I was a green card holder.
I'm just a green card holder. Like, so you're not going to report me if I do this? Because
No. We accept anything that comes over the counter. You know, we have people who come in here and they have legal situations and they register, they weren't a citizen, boom, boom, boom. So
how often do things like that happen?
Can I just say something? So he's at the, I guess they call it the Registered or the Board of Elections, whatever it is in New York City. The worker's wearing a hat and a flat. Like, you work for the city of New York. Do you not? There's no dress code. 1, 2. He sounds like an immigrant himself. Is he even an American citizen? I'd like to know this. Is he an American citizen accepting these applications to be registered to vote in New York City? And you heard him right there said, we're not going to ask you any questions. And the guy said, I'm a green card holder. Go ahead and submit it.
Right now, I'm in front of 200 Varick Street in New York City, New York. And inside this building on the 10th floor is an office of the New York City Board of Elections. Now, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to pose as a non-citizen Canadian green card holder.
I'm a green card holder from Canada.
And I'm just going to see how far I can get in the voter registration process. So let's see what happens.
So I talked to a gentleman before, and he said he could help me with registering to vote. It's my first time. So what do I have to show you guys?
everything you fill out, you swear in an affidavit that everything you're putting down is true, and that's it. Can I have a seat, fill it out?
Oh, got it, okay.
Fill it out and swear. Check the box and swear. You're not swearing on the Bible. You're not taking an oath in front of a judge, but you're swearing there and you sign it, probably under perjury or penalty of law, that everything is true. But that's it, man. So
I'm a green card holder from Canada.
Okay, yeah, you got to be a citizen. I wouldn't fill it out.
You wouldn't fill it out?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a citizen to fill it out.
Notice that he doesn't tell me it would be illegal to complete the application as a non-citizen, only that he doesn't recommend it. From here, things get even more concerning.
Well, first off, how did he tell him? I can't take that from you. You just told me you're not an American citizen. I work in the Registrar of Voters office. I'm not taking the application from you. But he doesn't say that. And you heard this guy here says it gets worse.
The reason why somebody told me that they were a green card holder and that they came in and then they submitted and they were good.
We can't stop you from submitting the application, and if it goes through, but most likely because they don't do like a full background check, but once in a while, you know, we have people who come in here and they have legal situations and they register, they weren't a citizen, boom, 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 so.
This is a direct admission that non-citizens are in fact registering to vote.
It is. He literally just told him that they don't do background checks. You'll never get caught. It's basically telling him, go ahead and submit it if you want. I'm not going to do anything. I'll take it. I'll file it because that's my job. I'm a city employee. Rubber stamp. Next. Next. It's like the sloth at the driver's license office from, what was that movie? The kids movie? It was, I don't know. It was a good movie, though.
Something that many claim is a conspiracy theory.
All right, here's the deal. To be honest with you, I'm like I'm really against everything that's going on right now, and I'm trying to do my part. So, like, do you mind if I fill this out, or like, is it okay with you?
It's up to you. That's like, I can't tell you what to do. If you want to fill it out. But everything is clearly stated, especially at this bottom. It says American citizen. So I'm just letting you know. If you fill that out and you're not, if it comes back to you, it comes back to you. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
What? How are you not saying, you just told me you're not an American citizen, I'm not taking it from you? Like, forget about what the rule is there. Forget about your job. And this is a problem with America. People don't look at their job as a reflection of themselves and their value system. This is why it's so hard to find good employees that treat your business as if it was theirs. It's like nearly impossible these days to have somebody that works inside your company that wants the success of that company just as the owner would. Now, I get it's never going to be quite like the owner. But when you get a committed employee, you hold on to them. This guy was told, just take the application, stamp them. It's not your job to check. It's not my job, man. It's not my job, right? It's so mentally corrupt. It's mental laziness. And it is what's wrong with America, that you have employees like this that just don't care. You're voting, man. And if this guy is a citizen, aren't you concerned that someone's trying to pull a fast one? And you could stop it, but you don't.
But we accept anything that comes over the counter.
But you're not going to report me or something like that?
No, I'm not. No, we don't report anyone. Whoever fills that application out comes to us.
But I'm just a green card holder. Like, I don't want to get. So you're not going to report me if I do this?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. That's not my job to report anyone. My job is just to collect the application and put it and submit it to the department.
What did I just tell you? Not my job, man. My job, I've been told, take the application here, put it in this bucket. At the end of the day, take that bucket, bring it into this office so the next person can start their robotic task and nobody critically thinks or thinks outside the box or does anything that might make America or New York City better again. We just do our job and we ride the subway home and hope we don't get mugged because we live in New York City and we overpay for everything and we're all grumpy because our city sucks. And so this is why the city sucks, is because you have people with attitudes like this.
Under New York election law, Section 17106, any election officer who willfully violates any provision of the election law relative to the registration of electors is guilty of a felony. It would be a criminal offense for this worker to process my voter registration after I admitted to being a non-citizen.
Well, here's the thing, and this is where they would argue this. Is he an election officer? I don't know. You might have to be sworn in as an election judge or an elected official or in a position of management. Are you an election officer who's literally just collecting documents? That's what they would claim, is he's not an election officer. I don't know if this is a criminal offense, what this guy did here is or not, but I do know this. It's a morally bankrupt offense, that his mother should be ashamed of him for this. He knows he's not an American citizen. Instead of saying no, he says, I'll just take it because that's my job.
Can I take this with me? Is that okay?
Yeah, take one of these. Yeah, you take that or, take another. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But just to be clear, if I do this, you will be able to submit it for me, not a problem.
Yeah, we'll submit it. That's, because we can do our background check on you. We just collect it, this and that, and that's it.
Okay.
I mean, we're going off your word. I mean, if you check off, because at the top we'll ask you, you citizen or not.
Here's the problem with this guy, and I want to be kind because, now this guy's going to be plastered all over. People are going to be so hateful to him. And here I am. I said it's morally bankrupt, and it is, but they're just so uninformed as well. Like, he doesn't realize everything with the SAVE Act going on right now. All of the, I don't think it's controversial, but all of the controversy from Democrats, he doesn't start to sniff something out. Like, this doesn't seem right. Are you trying to capture me after everything that that James O'Keefe has done and Nick Shirley has done. I'll play a clip from Nick Shirley, too, here in a minute. But you don't think this guy would say, hey, something's off? And the fact that he doesn't really even realize it until later makes me almost feel sorry for the guy, because I don't want to say you're just dumb, but you're not thinking. Your brain isn't working.
You check yes or you check no. We get registrations come to the mail. Whatever comes through, we accept, and then it's submitted.
We walked out of the office and ultimately didn't submit any application, as doing so would be illegal. We later returned to try to get more information from this worker. However, when we did so, he seemed to get suspicious of us and consulted a coworker.
Well,
he then changed his...
Too little, too late on the suspicion now, right? This is exactly what I was talking about. Of course, though, you come back and you're trying for more.
...tune and refused to accept our application. Despite this, it seems from our first interaction that this worker was willing to accept my voter registration application when I initially claimed that I was not a U.S. citizen. How many non-citizen voter registration applications has this worker or his co-workers accepted? Why did he suggest he would process my application? We asked him ourselves. Here's what he had to say.
This is the gentleman who was about to accept my voter registration form the first time we went in, when I said that I was just a green card holder. Here he is now. He doesn't want to atone for what happened. You mentioned to me that you've had situations where non-citizens have registered to vote. Can you tell me more about that? Can you tell me a little more about that? It seemed like before you were about to accept my voter registration form, even though I told you I was a green card holder. How often do things like...
So here's the reality of this situation. The guy that accepted it, I don't think he's nefarious. I don't think he's part of the Democrat machine that's a part of taking in and recruiting illegals to vote. I just think he's not engaged in his job. He doesn't care. And you got a cog in the wheel of city government of New York. But here's where it does get nefarious, is the Democrat machine set it up so the cogs in the wheel don't have to check. They don't have to make a decision. They don't have to make a moral decision on whether or not to accept. They set the system up. Guy walks in. He didn't need to say anything about, oh, I'm a green card holder. You got a registration. I want to turn in my registration, and they take it. Game over. There's no conversation, nothing. Mickey Mouse could fill it out. Walk in there, slide it underneath the table or underneath the window, and they're going to take it. That's set up by the Democrat machine. That's the scheme. This is why you need voter ID, proof of American citizenship, so this exact nonsense doesn't happen. Here's Nick Shirley.
Now, this is the register of voters right here.
And he's in California now. This is basically the same situation, just done in California.
And I want to ask him, why don't you need voter ID to vote here inside of California? I was curious, how come in California you don't need voter ID to vote?
Because when you sign your affidavit, you're swearing that you're telling us the truth, and we compare the signature that you put on your application to the
battery 65%.
Do you think it leaves any room for error with voter ID, or? Yeah, I'm just curious because I want to make sure that our elections are as fair and honest as possible, and I feel like voter ID is just something super simple to have. And do you think it's possible illegal migrants could be voting?
Not really. How? I mean, what's showing the ID?
Yeah, if they don't have their ID and they could just sign on behalf of Richard Sherman, then they could technically vote, right? Yeah, but what if they just don't care? What if Richard Sherman and Billy Bob Joe just don't care? But so you don't think illegals would ever vote, would you?
I don't think so.
He's she nefarious? I don't think so. I think what we have is blind liberal zombies at the wheel by design. Again, the Democrat machine sets it up. They get the robot. Well, you have to swear. Well, they'd be lying. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That's the whole reason why we need voter ID, because they'd be lying. Do people think everybody's honest? They can't. I mean, especially in a city like L.A., where you got people robbing you on the street as you're out to lunch, you're pickpocketers on mass transit. I mean, do they really think everybody's honest? You've got to be an idiot to think like that. And this poor woman, she's just sitting behind. I mean, these are literally the people I was talking about. Next. How can I help you? Line 3. Oh, what an awful job, by the way, too. I mean, could you imagine that's your life right there? What a waste of maybe they don't have any talent. And, that will really piss liberals off, too, because not everybody's equal when it comes to talent. Maybe they don't have any talent. Maybe that's why they can't they can't get a better job than working in a place like this or DMV, right? All right, look at that. 32 viewers in YouTube. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, man. So, YouTube, we get 2 viewers one morning. Then one day, what did we have? Like 2,500 or something, which was crazy. And then the next day, back to 0. People are telling me they don't get notified either. When they subscribe to my YouTube channel, they don't get notified. So we keep pushing there, and I appreciate you watching. Subscribe. And you know what I would really like for you guys? So every day at 12 Eastern, we do the podcast, give or take 5 minutes. I'd like to know, if you're watching on YouTube, if you are getting the subscription, the notifications that we've gone live. And if you're not getting them one day, whether tomorrow or next week, let us know. Let Shelly, our valiant captain, know if we are getting the notifications that we've gone live on YouTube. Because I don't think we are. But anyway, it's good to see a few dozen people in the YouTube channel. That's for sure. All right, folks. Who's up next on the hit parade from all my great sponsors? How about Patriot Mobile? PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. We were talking about competition in industries. The cell phone industry is ripe for competition. This is why Patriot Mobile is succeeding. 100% U.S.-based customer service. You choose which of the 3 big networks you want to be on. So you got a performance guarantee. You can switch back and forth. You can also put 2 networks on one phone and have 2 lines. I do that. That's fabulous. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service. They'll make you a deal to switch. And remember, when you go to Patriot Mobile, you're going to a conservative activist organization. Literally spending money to drive America in the right direction, to embrace freedom, embrace candidates that love freedom, all the way down to the school board level. This is why I'm with Patriot Mobile, because they're so committed to America's success. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. Tell them Grant sent you. Use that promo code GRANT for a free month service. All right, you know what I wanted to do, and I haven't done in a while, is I want to play the body language segment from, it was last week, but we did the Guthrie suspect and the body language there. Now, remember, my buddy Greg Hartley, who is the body language expert, is a behavior and body language expert. He was also a military interrogator. So he's got great sense when it comes to stuff like this. So let's roll it. All right, everybody has seen this surveillance video of the suspect in the Nancy Guthrie case. What do you see here? I was eager to have you break down the body language here.
Well, let me first tell you, I've seen a lot of body language guys doing crystal ball kind of BS where they're telling you what it all means. We can't tell what it all means. What I'm going to tell you is what I actually see. I'll also give you one credential you might not know I have. I spent a good portion of my life in anti-terror and kidnapping hostage survival, so I can talk with a little bit of authority in there. But pay attention to the fact this guy walks toward the gate, goes over immediately away from two obliques with the camera, has coiled his body so that you can't see much about him, and then moves to the camera and puts his hand up there. It's pitch black as far as we can tell, which tells you one of the things that hostage takers do all the time is they do a lot of reconnaissance before they show up. Either somebody's told him it's there or he's been there and seen it, because he puts his hand in the right place to cover it and then moves his body into place. Really interesting.
Now, if he was there and knew about it, why would he take the brush? We see him go and take the brush and cover. Wouldn't you just take a piece of duct tape and cover it up?
Well, let's think. What I would do in my world is either take a hammer and knock it off or spray it with some kind of spray paint, because that's quicker and more rapid. But if you know that, for example, that thing is not connected, you may disassemble it and think you're taking the camera with you, and you want to cover it up as you're monkeying around with it. The person here is showing. The only thing that makes me wonder if this person knows her is they seem to be okay with their face being exposed after they start doing this. That could indicate they're not very smart, could indicate they're under some kind of substance. There's all kinds of things it could indicate, but we don't have a crystal ball, so we really can't tell you that.
All right. Do we show the second one? Oh, we showed the second one of that. There was new footage released of another suspect. I wondered what you thought of this. We'll roll that and let you talk about it. This was from TMZ, a few miles away, same night.
Yep. Yeah, so one other thing to pay attention to is body shape. One of the things that these guys are going to look at is look at the the forearm length compared to the lower arm. You'll be able to tell this doesn't look like the same guy to me, number one, because his forearm seems to be longer. It puts his elbow at a lower place. Now, there's some benefit of the backpack pulling back on it, but if you look at those two things, you can start to get a different image of a person. Now, the one thing that is interesting is why would a guy be trying to get rid of a backpack that he would show up with 19 minutes later at the crime scene unless it was trying to hand it off to someone else who was using it? So what we know is that most kidnappings, now I'll go back to my other personality, most kidnappings are not a one-person job. This lady weighs 150 pounds, and if she's difficult to move or inanimate, that's really tough for one person to pick up, take to the road, and move with a backpack and everything else. So my immediate brain goes to there's more than one person involved. So I'd start looking there.
You know, with the amount of blood that was on the steps that we saw, he did take the camera, which I just talked earlier about how him taking the camera actually stopped it from the cache overwriting itself every 3 hours. So he actually preserved the video of him unknowingly in the Google Drive. Right. But maybe somebody, there could have easily been a second person help bring that person out then.
Well, if you really want to know whether there's a second person or not, take the very first video or any of this video when he's going back to pick up the weeds. What we look for is a person who's in fight or flight. Fight or flight would cause him to be jacked, and his emotions would be all through the roof, and he'd be moving like a wooden machine. You would see him look very different. His respiration would be up. But if he's got a spotter sitting 50 yards, 100 yards behind him, he doesn't have to worry about that. He may have a signaling device or something so that he can feel comfortable working in the dark and doing whatever else he needs to do. So it makes me think, I said one of three things. Either he's got a chemical in his system, he's done a hell of a lot of reconnaissance and feels well, feels safe, or he's got a spotter, or a combination of all three.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Okay, they had detained a person earlier in the week, and he went in front of all the cameras and started talking. So I thought it'd be interesting to play him and have you break down his body language.
Okay. I was detained the whole time.
Okay,
that's what they told me.
Where were they
in
holding
the back
you?
of a car.
Back of a
Miranda car, and then they moved me into a Pima County Sheriff.
Were you being questioned in the car?
At the Miranda car, I was being questioned, but they only asked me for my first name, my last name, my date of birth, and my social.
Okay. What were they asking you about?
My whereabouts.
Greg, my belief was this guy wasn't the guy, but your thoughts?
Well, I've watched two videos. This is one. I've watched another. The only thing that I did see that, look, these investigators are going to find red flags. There's no such thing as an indicator of deception, only indicators that a person's feeling uncomfortable. Watch that blink rate. That would make you go, why is he blinking so much? That gets people's attention. In one of the other videos, he's using his hands a lot to talk until he comes to the issue of where he was, and then his hands drop. That would be a red flag for them, too. The other red flag would be lack of thrusting your chin, saying, I didn't do it. He used a word like honestly. Those kinds of things, it's kind of like one of those little herding dogs. If you run, they come after you. That gets law enforcement all over you if you red flag them.
Well, let me push back on one thing in the blink rate. All right, if you have a whole slew of TV cameras around you and you were just held up by the police, I think you'd be pretty nervous.
Well, yeah, that's the reason none of this is a good indicator of deception, Grant. It's a good indicator of stress. You and I are not uncomfortable in front of a camera, but you do it every day and I do it a lot. This guy may have never been in front of a camera in his life. So we have to look for a cluster of behaviors, and then they ask questions to find out whether there's a root cause. That's what they do.
Interesting. Okay. Here's another interesting one. We'll have to do it fairly quickly. Jennifer Newsom, this is Gavin Newsom's wife at a Planned Parenthood event. She looked off at this event. I'm going to play the clip. Go ahead. Go for it.
You wonder why we have such a horrific war on women in this country and that these guys are getting away with it because you don't seem to care. So I just offer that with love. You have incredible women in this room and you have these allies. Ask about what we're here for today, don't you think?
There were other parts that got even crazier, Greg. Yeah.
Well, this is funny because she's doing this. She looks like Gavin Newsom kind of, and then suddenly she takes her elbows away from her sides once she gets relief. So she's feeling stress in the beginning, and then when they laugh, she moves her arms and starts to get comfortable. So it's a permission for her to do whatever is natural for her.
Her, she had dry mouth. Does that indicate anything? Because she talks in front of the cameras pretty often. I don't know why she would get dry mouth here.
Well, and you can't, this is one of the beautiful things about body language. You can only indicate that something has caused stress and had a person become dry in their mouth. It could have been an argument before she walked on stage. It could be anything because all of that fight or flight is tied up. I always say we don't know the difference between a tiger chewing our ass and our wife chewing our ass.
Do you know, I watched it. She started yelling at the media and everything. She did some real crazy things. I thought she might have been on drugs, quite frankly.
I didn't see this one. I'll have to watch it again.
All right. Greg Hartley, it's always great to see you. This was a good one. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Real pleasure. Thank you.
Grant, I'm muted. You know, I played the segment from how embarrassing is that? You know, and everybody gets so mad at me. Well, I run it myself, and I'm sorry. And Shelly here, no audio, no audio, no audio. What a ding-dong I am sometimes. I muted it because Greg was doing body language, so I'm sorry about that. I was laughing about Greg that he didn't know what to think when I said Jennifer was on drugs, Jennifer Newsom, but I'm still getting it. No sound. It'll come back here in a second. But you'll already know that because look at how good Shelly is. She even texted me that I'm muted. Thank you, Shelly. That is greatness. I owe you big time. I really do. Please, people, don't email me mean things about this. I haven't done it in a while. I've gotten better at it. This was just the last time. I should have remembered. Anyway, what was I telling you about? The Maverick System. This is about a reframe of your brain. This is about becoming bold. If you know where you are and you know you can do it, you know you have it in you, but you just haven't gotten that promotion. You just haven't gotten the girl you want. You just don't have it going in the right direction. Your business is not going where you want to go. You're not taking. Sometimes there's little tweaks in how you think about things and how you relate to things that can set you off on the right track. That's what the Maverick System is about. I want you to check it out. It's priced very low. Go on offense, start winning, become an alpha. Maybe you are an alpha, but you're just not quite the alpha you want to be. And this is great for kids. But it's a no bullshit course, right? So it's straight and in your face, but I think you'll get some benefit out of it. TheMaverickSystem.com, TheMaverickSystem.com. All right, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you. My Bluetooth. It has nothing to do with my Bluetooth, unfortunately. But anyway, great to see you all. I will tell you what, folks. I'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. God bless all of you. Thanks for being patient with me. We'll see you here tomorrow.